He's racing. There's a real chill in the air today. The wind is pretty strong and the riders are on the start line for the women's elite race. It's a block headwind on the start line. And so it's going to change things a little bit, I'm sure, as this race unfolds. And here we are on the grid. There's Lucinda Brand riding for Team Sunweb there on the left-hand side. There is Katie Compton as she gets ready for racing alongside her. Now this rider, Caitlin Keogh, has had 2 second places so far. Alongside her, Sophie de Boer. Sophie de Boer, of course, was the winner of the World Cup last year. There's the world champion, Sanne Cant, in the rainbow bands. Alongside her, Ellen van Looy. Ellen always consistent in this race. This rider is right on form at the moment. Maude Kapteins. And on the right-hand side here, the British champion, Nikki Brameyer, who is pretty consistent in terms of her performances here in Koksijde. The riders are on the start line. The lights are on. The tape is pulled back by Miet Wabel, and we're about to get this race underway. Interesting addition. There she is, Jolanda Neff, who is towards the back of the grid. And Jolanda still getting ready for the start. Of course, a multiple world champion in mountain biking. Be interesting to see how Jolanda Neff does today. She's right at the back of the grid. So this race then is underway. The lights go to green. And right there on the left-hand side, Katie Compton getting a good start. Compton loves this course as they go flying past our commentary position. Compton is third round that first corner. A very good start by Katie Compton. She has been known in the past as a rider who takes a long time to get started in a cyclocross event, then picks her way through the field, but there's certainly none of that today. Up at the front then is Helen Wyman, who goes straight to the front. Always a good starter, and Helen Wyman goes through that first turn on her wheel. Lucinda Brand. And Maude Kapteins is up there in third place as they hit the first run-up, which is always a tricky start, where you've just gone charging straight off the start. The pulse rate very, very high. And then immediately you've got to pick your way up what is a very tough slope. And keep your footing. Lucinda Brand looking strong already. And a little bit of congestion back here from these riders as they get onto this drop-off. Problems there for number 35, that's Goethe Hulke. As Helen Wyman leads then at the front of the race, the first few hundred metres going past, and Lucinda Brand, who had a great cyclocross season last year, is looking good at the start of the race here in Koksijde. Well, Wyman had a few problems with sponsorship during the winter as she tried to get support for her season. She's successfully managed to do that, so she is there at the front of the race, having got that support. Lucinda Brand looking down there at her bike as she took a little bit of air off that little jump, but looking really strong. And Helen Wyman having to immediately unship and go running onto the sand. Lucinda Brand also doing the same. But Brand is setting a really fierce tempo. The rider who has been certainly on form so far in the Super Prestige races, Maude Kapteins there in second place. Looking really strong this season so far. She won the race yesterday in the Super Prestige. She beat Sanne Cant into second place and Anne-Marie Wurst into third. As Lucinda Brand struggles to get some momentum going over that turn, having a few problems. And Maude Kapteins also won in Zonhoven just over a week ago in the sand as well. Now, Jolanda Neff started right at the back of the field and is showing her talent because she's already moved her way quite a long way up the field. She's now lying 12th. Be very interesting to see how Jolanda Neff does. But Maude Kapteins leads, Helen Wyman second, Sophie de Boer in third, Caitlin Keogh in fourth, followed by Lucinda Brand. Nikki Bramayo's up there. Katie Compton just checking her shoes. Eva Lechner also up near the front, looking pretty strong too. So on to this next section. This is one of the faster sections of the Koksijde course. And it is, there's been a problem around that turn, I think. You'd expect to see them come out of those trees a little bit quicker. Maude Kapteins setting the tempo. Wyman really looking fast, going with her and tracking her very nicely so far. Onto the run-up. Sophie de Boer wearing number 27. She was third in this race in 2014. Of course, last year we didn't have Koksijde because of the terrible hurricane force winds that we had that almost lifted the roof off the hospitality to my right-hand side. Oh, and a problem there. Alan Van Looy goes over the handlebars. Fourth in the World Cup last year. Just caught the front wheel into that hole. And once you do that, you have all sorts of problems. Sanne Cant also getting held up there in the rainbow bands. At the front of the race then, riders trying to come back to the leaders. Number 3, Laura Verdonschot, is also looking good near the front as well. Thank you to all of you for joining me for today's race. This is the traditional Koksijde sandy cyclocross. Kind of feels like cyclocross starts when you get Koksijde. It's cold, it's chilly. Everyone's out around the course. The beers are flowing. The frites are being fried and eaten. And the atmosphere does feel like things have actually started. Now the front, Kapteins, followed by Sophie de Boer. Caitlin Keogh is there. Helen Wyman has lost a few lengths. Kapteins has done this so many times this season so far. She's just riding away from the rest of the field. She says she's done a huge amount of work during the winter, built up strength, core stability, and it is paying some dividends now. Sophie de Boer doing what she normally does, just riding away steadily at her own tempo and looking good so far. Sanne Cant having a little bit of a steady start to this race. She's going to have to work her way through, get herself back up to the front, which we have seen her do in the last couple of weeks. She started slow, and then she's got herself going. So far this season in the World Cups, this is the third round. We started in Iowa, which was won by Katarina Nash. Caitlin Keogh was in second place, Sanne Cant was in third. Then we went to Waterloo for the Trek Cyclo-cross, and Sanne Cant was the winner that day. Caitlin Keogh again in second place, Ellen Noble in third place.
9th position. And then we have our world champion in 10th place, Sanne Kant. She's actually 10th in the race.
Kaylin Keogh working her way through the slithers of the sand as you have to just follow it, let the bike do what it wants to do. Lucinda Brand off the bike there in the white and black. Sanne Kant still quite a long way back right now, 12th place. Oops, and she had a little bit of a fall there on that run-up. Holding up Eva Lechner and a couple of others. But this rider is going to come round to complete lap number 1. And it is Maude Kapteins at the front of the race here in Koksijde. 3.15 kilometres of racing. Goes through then to complete this first lap. A time of an average speed of 21.18 kilometres an hour. 8 minutes and 55 seconds. That's from the start line all the way through. The actual lap was 8:38.4. Sophie de Boer 9 seconds down. Caitlin Keogh 13 seconds down. Then this group that contains Katie Compton, Nikki Brammeyer. I was talking to Nikki before the start. She had a hard race yesterday in the Super Prestige. She's been a bit sick over the last week or so, and so she pulled out of the race yesterday. She said that she loves riding in Koksijde, wants to do well here today. So she decided that it wasn't worth zooming around that course and absolutely hammering yourself when you're not feeling too good. Maude Kapteins onto the climb up. Sophie de Boer, very good runner. Coming back a little bit. Caitlin Keogh there in 3rd place.
Come on, Caitlin.
Caitlin, the last time she rode here was in 2012 in the World Championships. Really having a great season so far with 2 second places. Just having a look to see where Jolanda Neff is. She's there in that group, slowly but surely picking her way through the field. You can always tell her with the flowing blonde hair out of the back of that helmet. But Maude Kapteins looks so comfortable at the front of the race so far. There is Jolanda Neff wearing number 46. The most talented mountain bikers in the world. She goes fast downhill. Great to see her ride in the World Cup. Well, Kapteins already has beaten Kant into 2nd place in the last couple of weeks. So there's no doubt that going out like this, she has got the form to just ride this all the way to the finish line. She's got so much power. You can see she's riding all the way along that very tough section. You have to have a huge amount of power to be able to reach this point that she's just got off. Deep sand, very, very difficult. Sanne Kant down in 8th place. The difference there, you can see, around about 18 metres between the 2 riders. Sophie de Boer 8 seconds back. Caitlin Keogh with a bit of daylight between her and Nikki Brammer, who's in 4th place. There is Jolanda Neff wearing 46. Just in front of her is Joyce van der Becken. Well, Sophie de Boer won the World Cup last year. She scored a total of 484 points. Sanne Kant was in 2nd, 395. Katarina Nash was in 3rd place, 393. Nikki Brammer looks to be coming back now towards the leaders, the British champion. She's prepared really, really well for this season, but a little bit of sickness means that she's not right on top form. There goes Katie Compton. She's following Sana Kant. Interestingly, those two were warming up together around the course earlier on today. So they're just following each other's tracks, and they are now starting to work their way back towards the front of the race. Sophie de Boer working hard up this incline. Kaylin Keogh onto the bike. Well, earlier on today we saw the under-23 men's race. No coverage of that, but Tom Pidcock rode through the under-23 men's field, having started on the third row of the grid and just rode all the way through, caught everybody and won the race. Well, Maude Kapteins at the moment is taking this race to everybody else, and so far is unchallenged. She's one of those riders who, over the last couple of seasons, slowly but surely has got stronger and stronger, and now really is feeling on top of her game. Some of the riders taking a bit of time to choose tyre pressures and everything today. The weather's nice, it's not muddy. The wind is really strong though, very, very cold here compared to what they've been used to over the last few weeks. And Sana Kant onto the run up there, just trying to get herself a little bit further up the field. Still a long way to go, so the race is by no means over. Koksijde, an incredibly tough bike race. Sana Kant making her way back to the wheel of Nikki Bramer now. And Katie Compton still in that group. It's kind of a group of, what, 6 or 7 riders. Lucinda Brand started really well, but doesn't seem to have the measure of this course at the moment. We'll see whether she can work her way back to the front. Maude Kapteins then has gone through the sand. She's onto the single track section. Now onto the sand again to the top of this little climb. If you take the right route round there, then you can end up being able to go all the way around the top without getting off the bike. Take the wrong line and it ends up far too steep and you lose traction and you have all sorts of problems. But now where she's at the front of the race, she's able to pick her line. She doesn't have anybody around her that she needs to worry about. And it is a great ride by her so far. She just lets that back wheel kick out a little bit, making her way fast downhill now onto the next drop-off. Well, Sophie de Boer is one of those riders who wins a lot of races just by never giving up. She's always said to me that she'll just keep going and hope that in front, if she's in second, third, fourth place, hope that in front the riders start to feel the tempo or they have some difficulties. But if you know you're riding the best possible race you can, then you do work your way through the field and you do get eventually up to the front of the race. Coming around then to complete lap number 2, Maude Kapteins, the leader here in Koksijde. 8:38 was the first lap. She's just done an 8:45 lap that time. So a little bit slower, 7 seconds, the difference that time. And coming in second place, we'll see what the time gap is. And Sophie de Boer is going to come in somewhere over 20 seconds back on Maude Kapteins right now. 25 seconds, 27 seconds. And then the next group of riders will follow Caitlin Keogh into the line. Caitlin Keogh will be third place on the track so far. Sanne Cant, lap number 3 of 5 we're on now. So we'll have 5 laps in total, which I thought it might be. Normally at the end of the second lap, the average lap time's taken, and then we work out how many laps will cover the actual distance of the race. Maude Kapteins safely down that sandy section, turns right. Sophie de Boer just lifting those knees, trying to get as much traction as possible. Notably, Anne-Marie Verst is quite a long way back. And Caitlin Keogh is caught now by Sanne Cant. Anne-Marie Verst down in 15th place, which is a little bit of a surprise. And there's the head of the race. Maude Kapteins, 27 seconds ahead of Sophie de Boer now. Making very easy work so far of this course. Staying nice and high, which is what you need to do on this little section. Stay high, keep the power on. Try and almost just trudge your way through this sand. De Boer now around about 160 meters behind, falling away. Sanne Cant in the World Championship stripes seems to have got going now. She's making her way up to the front of the race. Around about 50 seconds down though. She's got a lot of work to do to get up to the wheel of Sophie de Boer. And there's our differences. De Boer around about 43 seconds back. She can be seen now by number 1, Sanne Cant. Maude Kapteins has the measure of everybody right now. Looks good down the drop-off. Riding for the Creeland team. Out of the acceleration point there. Looks good on that run-up. Havla Havlakova behind her. Jolien Verschuren, then Lucinda Brandt. There's Sophie de Boer working her way round this next turn. Maude Kapteins at the front. You'll remember that she won the 2015 European Cyclo-cross Championships. But this year she has been super strong in these women's races. Sanne Kan, though, is not giving in. She is continuing to try to get to the front of the race if she can. Being tracked there by Loes Sells, who is a teammate of Maude Kapteins here at the front. Onto the drop-off. Sanne Kan won here in Koksijde in 2014. It was her first ever World Cup win. So she knows the course, she knows how tough it is. She knows exactly how to ride it. Nicky Brammer not giving up. Despite this little bit of illness, she wants to put herself onto the podium if she possibly can. She's looked good so far this season. She was third in Zonhoven in the sand. But that body will be feeling a little bit weaker than it normally does. See whether she can come back. Katie Compton, much better than she was in Zonhoven, where she had a really bad reaction to the pine trees there. She has a pretty bad allergy to pine trees. It basically means that in certain races she's unable to breathe, and she just has to take the pressure off totally and ride round, if indeed she manages to finish. Loes Sells is going clear then of this group. And Sanne Kan has another problem, holding up Katie Compton. So Loes Sells is just riding away at this moment in time.
Very good for Loes Sells, who's taking a little gap again once again. Loes Sells in third position.
Here is Maude Kapteins. Bronze medalist in the World Championships in the under-23 category. Only 23 years of age at this moment. But she's looking very, very good. 226 metres now ahead of second place Sophie de Boer. Loes Sells in third, Sanne Kan in fourth. Looks like Helen Wyman's had a bike change. Wyman running down in 11th place. Well, thank you to all of you for watching. If you'd like to join me on Twitter, @AntMcCrossan is where you can join me. If you want to tweet in your predictions or any thoughts on today's racing. But thanks for taking the time to join us for this first European-based cyclocross of the season here in Koksijde, the Telenet UCI World Cup. And Maude Kapteins comes round again to complete her third lap of racing. 2 more laps to go. The average speed 21 kilometers an hour. And 8:47 was that lap, so she's gone 8:38, 8:45, 8:47. But at this moment and this traction, she doesn't have to be worrying. She looks to have everything under control. Everything's in hand. Sophie de Boer looking to see where everybody else is. The answer is there's no one really close to Sophie de Boer yet. In fact, she's probably around about 40 seconds, maybe 30 seconds ahead of the next group of riders. Sophie de Boer. Then behind her, Loes Sells, Katie Compton, Sanne Kan. Meanwhile, Maude Kapteins is already onto the climb. It's a long way up there, isn't it? 2 laps to go then. Loes Sells, Katie Compton, Sanne Kan in that little group. Maude Kapteins down the descent, making it a little bit more difficult that time. If you take the wrong line down there, you have all sorts of difficulty. Sophie de Boer onto the climb. Around about 39 seconds now is the difference. 21 kilometers an hour then for Maude Kapteins. Her lap times have gone 8:38, 8:45, 8:47 so far. Let's just update you then on the placings as things stand. Maude Kapteins leads, Sophie de Boer in second place, Loes Sales in third, then Katie Compton led across the line that time. Sanne Kant, Caitlin Keogh, Nikki Brameyer, Lucinda Brand, Jolanda Neff now into ninth place, 1:32 down on the leader. Your grid position does very much count, particularly if you're a rider who wants to challenge for the actual victory. You start right at the back of the grid, you have all sorts of difficulties to get anywhere near the front, just purely because of the traffic and the congestion and people just holding you up. Well, Maude Kapteins is making very easy work of this. Well, thanks to all of you for your messages as we take a look here at the leader. Steele Barnes, thank you very much for watching. Coach Justin, also, thank you very much. You're hoping Jolanda Neff races Koppenberg. Brian Travis, thanks for your messages as well. Very much appreciated. Hope you're enjoying this cyclocross. This is the Telenet UCI World Cup from Koksijde. The third round of racing, the first one in Iowa with Katarina Nash the winner. Second in Waterloo with Sanne Kant as the winner, as we took a look there at the rainbow bands of the world champion. No one so far is able to challenge the speed of Maude Kapteins. She's literally ridden away from everybody and shows no signs of letting up at all. Supremely strong, technically good. Just has the measure of this course. The closest rider 40 seconds behind. There is Katie Compton. Let's run through the top 10 then for you. Maude Kapteins, Sophie de Boer, Katie Compton in third place now. Sanne Kant in fourth, Loes Sales in fifth, Caitlin Keogh still in sixth place, Nikki Brameyer in seventh, Lucinda Brand in eighth, Jolanda Neff in ninth, Laura Verdonschot in 10th. There's one thing, finishing second twice in a USA-based cyclocross. There's another thing, still being up there in the top 6 in a European cross. Caitlin Keogh producing a really strong performance today in 6th place. Katie Compton up into 3rd. Sanne Kant tracking her. Compton has got such a prestigious background in this Koksijde World Cup. 2013 the winner, 2012 the winner, 2010 and 2008. Won all of those. Was 3rd in 2011 and 2015. It's great to see Katie Compton back at the front of these World Cup cyclocross races. Last year, it just didn't really go for her. And many would write her off, but she's not like that. She looks to be in very good spirits. She looks to be motivated. and she's now looking for a podium. Meanwhile, this young rider is just pedalling away at the front, opening up the advantage all the time. 8:47 was the last lap time. Fastest lap so far, lap number 1, 21.18 kilometers an hour. Down that drop off and then onto the climb. There is Sophie de Boer. Sophie de Boer, an interesting rider, likes to have other interests outside cycling. There's Jolanda Neff. Neff, world champion of cross country in mountain biking, twice a World Cup winner in cross country. One of the 45 riders who took to the start line of today's race. Dave Brodman, we got wet sand. It is a little bit damp. It rained probably about 20 minutes ago. It's stopped since, really cold rain, but it means there is a little bit of moisture on this track now compared to what there would have been an hour or so ago when the junior men and the under-23 men rode. Sophie de Boer, just looking. Anyone not on disc brakes today? Doesn't look like it. Keeping a little bit of a check. De Boer having to get off the bike then. Coming around then to complete this lap, and then we'll get the bell with 1 lap of racing to go. Maude Kapteins comes into the finishing straight again.
And attention please, here is Maude Kapteins leader in the race, the unbeatable Maude Kapteins.
1 lap of racing to go. Maude Kapteins is the leader. She's led literally from the start. Goes through again, 8:52. Loses 5 seconds that lap. The average speed just under 21 kilometers an hour. Such a hard bike race, this. But Compton now is starting to open up an advantage to third place, on third place, so she's looking set for a podium if she carries on like this. Compton's got such a great palmares in this race. 4 times the winner, twice third place. As we see Sophie de Boer coming round, she's going to be 50 seconds behind. She was 27 seconds behind after 2 laps. She's now 50 seconds behind after 4. And the rest of the riders looking here to try and close up and get back to get themselves on the podium. Maude Kapteins onto the sand, down this descent. Just letting the bike slip and slide a little bit, not fighting it. Sanne Cant crosses the line in 3rd place, so she has moved into 3rd and put Katie Compton into 4th.
In 4th and 5th position, these both riders, and then in 6th place we have Faye.
As the riders then make their way across the line, don't forget there's live timing available on the UCI website, so uci.ch. If you like to keep a track on exactly what all the stats are. So just take a little bit of a look. Let's just run through the top places then. Maude Kapteins is the leader. Eva Lechner in this little group. 2nd place, Sophie de Boer at 51 seconds. Sanne Cant at 1 minute 21 in 3rd place. Lucelles in 4th place, 1:29 down. Then Katie Compton in 5th, so she's dropped back a little bit at 1:30. Caitlin Keogh in 6th place at 1:42. Then Lucinda Brand, then Nikki Brammer, then Helen Wyman, Pavla Havakova, Eva Lechner 11th, Yolanda Neff in 12th place so far. Sanne Cant making a move now, 35 seconds down on 2nd place. Well, the last few winners of this race, we didn't have it last year, remember, because of the wind year before. So terrible security risks on this course, but the race went ahead. Sanne Cant was the winner. She took her first ever World Cup win in 2014 here. So twice a winner. Before her, Katie Compton with 2 wins, Daphne van der Brand in 2011, and Compton won in 2010 and 2008, and Marianne Vos the winner in 2009. Sophie de Boer then in 2nd place, still looking comfortable. Sanne Cant heading towards a podium. And that would mean that Sanne Cant has been on the podium in every round of the World Cup so far. Caitlin Keogh still holding on to 6th place here for the United States of America. Just 1 place behind Katie Compton. Impressive performance by Caitlin Keogh so far. Thanks to all of you for your messages. At Ant McCrossan is where you can join me on Twitter, and don't forget to follow at UCI_cycling as well. Through the trees as we watch Sophie de Boer making her way towards the next turn. Not far from the end of this lap, the final lap of the race. Maude Kapteins. She really has got the measure of this Koksijde course. Sophie de Boer still trudging her way up this sand, still looks full of running. Doesn't seem to be under massive pressure. She's tried to get back to the front, but it's not going to happen. Maude Kapteins just trying to lift those feet. Will be very, very heavy now after a real top-class effort, leaving behind the world champion. Leaving behind a 4 times winner in Katie Compton. And it's Loes Sells who is possibly looking to give Creelan 2 riders in the top 3. She can see Sanne Cant in front of her. She's not giving up. She's only just a couple of seconds behind her. That would give this Creelan team 2 riders there at the front. This is Maude Kapteins. And that back wheel slip and slide. Very clever. Just not fighting the bike, letting the bike track the way it wants to. Close to the finish line. Maude Kapteins leads. Sophie de Boer 2nd. Sanne Cant in 3rd. Loes Sells trying to stop Sanne Cant getting on the podium. On to the next run-up. Sanne Cant just looking down, keeping an eye on the feet, making sure that every step counts. And Loes Sells just trying to stay on the wheel of Sanne Cant, try and beat her at the finishing line. Sophie de Boer, pure concentration, but we're back here with our leader, number 28, Maude Kapteins, 8th in the UCI rankings. But this performance is very impressive. Katie Compton looks to have recovered again a little. She pedals her way over the sand, trying to make her way back to these two riders in front of her to make it 3 and give her the opportunity to be back on the podium again. Loucelles trying to stay on the wheel of Sanne Cant. There's Compton. Behind her is Lucinda Brand. It's going to be a sprint between these riders. Oh, Loucelles attacks Sanne Cant, the world champion. She's not holding back at all on this. She wants to put Creelan 1 and 3. So Maude Kapteins has led from the start to the finishing line. She's going to pedal her way around this final turn onto the tarmac in a moment, set herself up for victory. And Sanne Cant now fighting Loucelles. Loucelles has attacked Sanne Cant, the world champion. Cant now kicks on a little bit. But now we are looking at the winner of Koksijde. Very impressive performance by Maude Kapteins. She wins the World Cup in Koksijde with a supreme performance. Average speed 20.8 kilometers an hour. She rode away from everybody. After she'd made her first attack, no one saw her again. Sophie de Boer, the winner of the World Cup last year, is going to put herself on the podium again. She was 3rd in 2014. This time it's going to be 2nd place in Koksijde. And then it's about the 3rd place. And it looks like Sanne Cant is slowly but surely making her way off the front of that group. So in 1st place, Kapteins. Sophie de Boer in 2nd place. Crosses the line. 52 seconds down on the day. That last lap was 7 seconds slower. Kapteins didn't have to push it. And it's all about this sprint then. So it's going to be Kapteins followed by de Boer, and it looks like followed by Sanne Cant. A big sprint between these riders. Sanne Cant, the world champion, on the podium. Twice the winner. Twice now in 3rd place. Sanne Cant finishes 3rd. And now the next sprint comes in. This is for 5th place, and it's Katie Compton ahead of Lucinda Brand. Brand just trying to challenge. Oh, throw their bikes to the line then. Looks like Lucinda Brand will have taken that. Katie Compton in 6th. I don't think Lucinda Brand had her transponder on, hasn't shown up on the screen. Nikki Brammer is in 9th place. Havlikova would be in 10th. Caitlin Keogh should be in 8th place. There we are, they're all changing now. As the riders come in. Laura Verdonschot crosses the line then. Well, that was a solo performance by Maude Kapteins to totally dominate the Women's Elite World Cup. Maude Kapteins just rode away. There she is.
Also, Fleur Nagengast is invited for the award ceremony, please.
First World Cup victory
wordt uitgenodigd
Similar
voor
to
de huldigingsplechtigheid, alsjeblieft. Tweede in het...
Sanne Kant winning in 2014.
And also Celine Alvarado invited for the award ceremony, please. Ook Celine Alvarado wordt uitgenodigd voor de huldigingsplechtigheid.
And the crowd will wait for the presentation. Some of these kids getting ready for the next race. But the most important thing is the atmosphere here is great. Maude Kapteins wins the Telenet UCI Cyclo-cross World Cup here in Koksijde. Second place, Sophie de Boer. In third place, Sanne Kant of Belgium. Behind them then, Loose Cells in fourth, Compton, Brand, Wyman, Keogh. And further on down, Brameyer and Havlikova. Eva Lechner down in 11th place for Italy. And Jolanda Neff finished 14th, despite starting right at the front of the grid, because she got as high up as 9th place in this race. Alice Ardzufi in 19th. A little bit of a surprise for her. She's been riding very well this year. Well, everybody will just enjoy the atmosphere after the women's race. Get themselves ready to welcome the elite men to the start line. We'll bring you the presentation of today's race in just a few moments as riders still make their way in to complete today's course. Jolien Verschuren has almost completed the final lap, 5 laps in total. Around that final turn for Jolien Verschuren, who will finish around about 28th place. Jolien Verschuren rides in to complete the course. A few minutes down, 28th place today. 5 minutes and 53 seconds down. Koksijde is an incredibly tough race. Some other riders for you. Elle Anderson was 23rd today for United States of America. As we take a look here at the highlights of today's race. Hannah Payton, 32nd for Great Britain. Anna Kay, 35th today. So Maude Kapteins didn't give anything away to anybody. Rode away from the front straight away, and at this point was never seen again. 40th place today, Natalie Redmond of Australia. Good to see Natalie competing in the World Cup. That was the point where Sanne Kant hit the deck. Maude Kapteins was just super strong today. There was no one who was going to match her. Sophie de Boer tried, she just couldn't get anywhere close. Meanwhile, behind them, Sanne Kant closed in on Katie Compton. But Kapteins continued, even with some little mistakes, to look good on the course. Sophie de Boer trying everything she could to come back to the front, but second place was going to be hers today. There was a little bit of a tussle between Loose Cells and Sanne Kant, but ultimately it was the world champion who managed to take third place today here in Koksijde. Maude Kapteins wins her first World Cup. Sophie de Boer finishes in second place. And the sprint for third, won by the world champion, Sanne Cant. Third place for her today. Well, let's hear now from today's winner, Maude Kapteins.
Maude Kapteins, many congratulations. What a great solo, eh? You were dominating from start till finish.
Yes, this is my first World Cup win, so I'm very happy. And before the race, I don't have that trust that I can win here. So it was a really hard race, but I know when I start really fast, I can ride through the sand. So that was really nice.
Yeah, you were almost 1 minute clear of the second one.
Yes, it's only in the sand sections I do very well. So you can ride your own race. So that's better than you need to follow.
Ja, toch nog even een vraag in het Nederlands ook. Maude, proficiat. Ja, je blijft dominant. Hè. Oktobermaand is Maude Kapteinsmaand.
Ja, ik moet zeggen, ik had voor de race niet echt het vertrouwen dat ik kon winnen vandaag. Ik had niet het supergevoel, maar ik reed wel goed door het zand. En ik weet dat je dan goed kunt starten en je kunt je eigen lijn rijden door het zand, dat je ook heel ver kunt geraken. En dat heb ik gedaan. En het was fantastisch vandaag.
En nu hopen dat je die vorm heel lang kan vasthouden, denk ik. Hè?
Ja, dat hoop ik wel. Ik heb met Wilfried al besproken dat we deze week heel even een tandje terug moeten doen. Want mijn wallen beginnen er ook steeds groter op te worden. Dus, maar ik hoop zeker ieder weekend weer er te staan.
Okay, succes ermee. Dankjewel en proficiat nog. Maude Kapteins in de Wilfried. Dat is natuurlijk Wilfried Kretskes.
Very impressive today, Maude Kapteins.
Dat er die grote putten daarin, maar de mensen die hier stonden, dat zijn allemaal naar hunter gaan. Maar ik sta daar niet graag voor.
Don't forget, we'll bring you the presentation in a few moments. There's the standings after the third round. Sanne Cant now is the World Cup leader, ahead of Sophie de Boer in second. Caitlin Keogh is in third place, and Kapteins, after today, moves into fourth place. So the Telenet UCI Cyclo-cross World Cup jersey will be awarded to Sanne Cant, which she'll wear in the next round. Counting our way through the top 20. Emma White of the United States of America there. A lot of American riders in that group. I guess after the first couple of rounds being in the States, but some very good cyclocross riders there indeed. Well, don't forget, we will have the men's UCI World Cup Cyclo-cross elite race. Maude Kapteins is making her way to the podium. Sophie de Boer just about to appear on the podium as well. The jersey's being taken there. Sophie de Boer ready for the presentation. De Boer has finished on the podium before here, third place 2014 behind Cant and Stultens.
Je hebt ook hier naar de klos gekeken, zeker?
Nee, wat echt kut.
Nu heb ik wel.
Je weet dan ook niet wat je moet, hè?
Two Dutch riders and one Belgian on the podium today.
Leven de hel. Ik kan dan ook niet relativeren.
Jij niet? Vind je het al lekker? Ja.
Dames en heren, mag ik wel dat we dan
There's Sophie de Boer's fan club just in front of us. Cyclocross in Belgium is huge. The riders have their own fan clubs. Huge following for these riders. the world champion. They're very, very windy.
Wordt uiteraard bij deze gefeliciteerd. Krijgt een trofee overhandigd.
It's cold up here on this podium.
We have a trophy for our world champion. We have kisses, we have flowers. En we hebben natuurlijk uw applaus bestemd voor de derde. Applaus voor Sanne Kant.
Sanne Kant in third place.
Second place, representing the Netherlands. Tweede vandaag uit Nederland. Laat u horen voor Sophie de Boer.
Sophie de Boer, all smiles, a little bit of confetti going off. She'll probably have seen at many cyclocross races, it just kind of happens.
Of course, also kisses and flowers for the second in this race of today. Second place, tweede plaats. Uw applaus voor Sophie de Boer. And then, the winner of the race, 2 out of 2 this weekend. Tweede zege dit weekend, de winnares.
As the announcer said, she won yesterday in the Boom Cross Super Prestige Maude Captains. She wins here in Koksijde in the UCI World Cup Cyclo-cross.
Onze lokale schip van sport en de gemeente Koksijde heeft Dirk David met de trofee, de felicitaties en de gelukwensen voor de winnares van deze wedstrijd. Dames en heren, opnieuw nummer 1, opnieuw bingo voor Maude Kapteins. Proficiat, congratulations!
World Captains on the top step of the podium.
Dames en heren, mag ik u aandacht vragen voor het
And now the national anthem.
Please, ladies and gentlemen, for the national anthem of the Netherlands.
There's our podium of today. Sanne Kant in third place, Sophie de Boer in second, Maude Capteins in first place. It wasn't a close contest today. Capteins is so strong. 52 seconds ahead of Sophie de Boer, 127 ahead of Sanne Kant. There's no one even close to beating her. Sophie de Boer almost destroying her trophy, smiling away on the left-hand side.
Graag nog even uw aandacht hebben voor de overhandiging van de leiderstrijd in het Telenet UCI Cyclo-cross. En dat wordt graag bij ons Sanne Kant eventjes wel te blijven. Dus Sanne, blijf even op het podium alsjeblieft. Tot wij nodigen.
So they make their way off the podium. And I think now we'll present the leader's jersey. Sanne Kant pulls on the leader's jersey of the Telenet UCI World Cup Cyclo-cross. There she is. So she will wear that in the next round.
En dan gaan we naar het podium toe. Bij de dames beloften. We continue with the ceremony for women.
That dog looks nicely wrapped up against the cold inside that coat. Right, we're going to wait now for the men's elite race. I hope you're going to join us for that, as we will bring you all the action. Maude Kapteins has won the women's elite race here in Koksijde. The crowd will get fueled up and get ready for the men's race. Join us shortly. Thanks very much for watching the women's elite race, and goodbye for now.